Hi everyone. Just wanted to introduce you to a way that I use Pear Deck text and Pear Deck Draw to help students annotate a text and work with different social studies skills tools. Okay, I use Pear Deck. Okay, now I have Pear Deck over here. It says Start Lesson, right? Where did that come from? In case you haven't had this before, you click on Add-ons. Okay, you can, if you have it, it's going to say Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on, open Pear Deck, which I did, or you can get the add-on from the Google Play Store and add Pear Deck to what you have already. And once you do that, it will come up here up top. Okay? So before I show you how I use it, I need to start the lesson because I want to show you what it looks like on the student end. Okay? You want to go now to instructor-paced activity. We'll talk about student-paced in a minute. Now, students can join either through the join code, which is right here, or it's right up here in the corner, or joinpedia.com, they put in the code. You can give them a link. You can invite students. Okay? I want to show you what it looks like on the student end, so I'm going to go in with my regular browser, joinpd.com. I have to put in the code, GIQATJ, within the phrase also, and I have to sign in. I'm going to go in under my regular Gmail, so it lets me in as a student. Doesn't let you in as a teacher and a student at the same time. Always asks you how you're feeling. Loading the presentation. Okay, if you notice as a student, there's nothing I can do here other than setting myself up for a read aloud. If I want this read out loud, an immersive reader. It can play it for me.
Annotating using Pear Deck text and Pear Deck Draw SWD 9 to 12.
Okay. Now, as a teacher here, I'm going to go to the next slide, which notice the student slide changes. This is what I'm trying to show you. Can't have both of them up here at the same time. Notice this is ABC. Okay. My student can type in an answer here, and the student, I can write the source title, which would be, let's say, if I'm working with something from 9th grade, ties to the medieval church. Okay, it's a primary source from 1246 or whatever else it is. And notice the student can add another response if they need to. As a teacher, look, Judith just gave you an answer. I can leave feedback. What is the exact title? And I send the feedback. What is the exact title? I send the feedback. And see, I have new feedback. What is the exact title? And I can mark it as a teacher. You can see if a student read it or not. Now, moving to the next slide, I can also draw on the same thing. How does Pear Deck Draw work? Let's show it to you as a student. Here we go. You can either, and I did this on another video in regard to using maps in Pear Deck, but they can use a pencil. Over here, you have a sizer. Try to make your tip as fine as possible, because if they're going to start writing, unless they have a touch screen, the first thing they do is write super thick or write with a highlighter. See, here I go. I'm using a mouse, not my finger, but I managed to write it. Here's the highlighter. I can highlight what I wrote. I can also, if let's say using this, you make connections, draw lines. But what most students like with Pear Deck Draw especially is they can write connections to, let's say, the social hierarchy, which is what we were discussing in feudal Europe. Now, I can type it. I can change the color to whatever I want. I don't like something, I can erase it. They can also undo. That button has saved students when they've deleted their work so many times, or they can clear the whole thing, which students hit too many times thinking that it's erased, by the way. You have to warn them about that. So now, as the teacher, I can show them this. They can write on it. Okay, I'm waiting for responses, so I'm going to have to go in as a student now. But as a student, look at this. Okay, you can show students that they can highlight as they need to. Okay, they can underline as they need to. Notice this is super thick, and I would warn students about that. That was intentional. Okay, you can make it thinner, the sizer. I'm on eraser. You have to warn where you're going. You have to make each one thinner as you work. If you notice, it didn't automatically switch. But if, let's say, a student had to annotate for perspective, they can take the pencil and they can write convent and free alms, money given to the poor, by the noble lord of reverend, meaning honored memory. They can make an arrow, and they probably want to type over here. Every they click, it goes, point of view. Now, obviously, you need to play with this. You can do quite a bit with colors and all that, but this shows you how students can literally mark up a whole text. And the cool part is that you get to see them as they do it live. And you could say, really? Why did you annotate that? Why did you mark that? Why did you do that? They can also undo things as they need to, as I showed you. And as a teacher, the other cool part, see, I see it right up there. On top of that, I have the option. This is I have the teacher dashboard that only comes with premium, but what you can do for all students, no matter if you pay for Pear Deck or not, is you can turn it on to student paced. So if you want students, let's say, see, your students been student paced. Okay, I got it. Let's go. So if you want your students to work through a source and work through different parts of a tool, they have the option to move through it in their own time, at their own speed, even asynchronously, especially if you're working with a document-based question. You can see how they're working as they're working. It has been very useful to me, and I hope it's useful to you. Now, the free version, you can do all the Pear Deck tools except for Pear Deck, what they call draggable, where students can rate things and drag it. Notice you can turn student paste on and off, but you can also end it. You just say, sure, it asks you before you do everything, or you can leave them. And once you leave, you can send it and get a report for yourself. From Pear Deck, you can actually tell yourself. You can send yourself a report if you have the premium version. You could see what students responded to where, but note that it exports to a Google spreadsheet, work in Google Slides. If you work in PowerPoint, it does work, but you can't get the report. Also, you can only get the report for the premium version. Again, this is something that I find super helpful when working with students as they annotate sources. Hope it helps you.